Fully active, ladies and gentlemen, it's Coach Ábris here, founder of Demicycle Protocol, and we helped over 50 high performers and corporate executives over the age of 40 and 50 to double their natural energy levels, go below 15% body fat, and all this without counting calories or without having to follow restrictive diets or boring exercise routines or training more than 2 to 3 hours per week in the gym. So in my previous videos, I have shown you many different ways, many different case studies of how we made it happen, but I've received a lot of questions and I wish I could have answered all of them in writing, but I thought it's time to address all of these in a video. So I'm starting up my interview series, and here we are at a beautiful rooftop, and I thought I would just catch on this opportunity and answer all of the questions I have received lately across many different platforms that you follow me on, guys. So here on YouTube, Instagram, on Twitter or X or whatever you call it, LinkedIn, and I'm really grateful for all of you for having this community and for your curiosity so I can help you out. So I compiled a list of questions and I will just read them out loud and answer them in real time, and hopefully you will find this useful, and by the end of this video you will have complete clarity on how do we make these transformations happen, how do we help men over the age of 40 and 50, and how do we balance this out with their busy lifestyle, and how to make it happen without counting calories or spending hours in the gym, right? So it might sound a little bit controversial, but I want to answer your questions and provide logical answers for that, so you will know what makes sense for you and how you can also make this happen, copy paste our systems in your lifestyle, or potentially work with us in the future. So the first question is from one of our followers is, can I stay semi-lean and still get stronger or aesthetic without going on a bulk? Or is that a need phase or a needed phase to go through for a good body? So I would ask myself in the first place, what is a good body for you? What is your exact goal? Be specific, narrow down your focus, and then determine that where you want to exactly get. And if you can stay semi-lean or still get stronger and aesthetic at the same time, it depends on how you can control your appetite, your hunger, and your nutrition, right? It's very important that you do acknowledge that you don't have to get, it's not necessary to get absolutely fat on a bulk, right? You don't have to accumulate high body fat levels just to have a decent amount of muscle mass. So you can still stay somewhat lean. So what I would advise is bulk until you reach the targeted muscle mass or the desired state of your body that you want to be in, but never allow your body to go over 18% body fat if you're a man, right? For females, that's somewhat higher. It's in the 20 to 25% body fat range or even higher. But for men, it's definitely, I would say, I would draw the line at 18, where you can kind of see the outlines of your abs. You don't pretty much have abs yet, but you can see the outlines of them. You have good muscle definition, and you are, of course, not shredded at that point. So that's when I would recommend ending the bulk after a good couple of months, right? And then you can go for your cutting phase, because if you overdo it, and that's why I say it's not a necessary, but if you overdo it, go above 20-25% body fat, you will make your weight loss, a fat loss phase, unnecessarily long. So you want to avoid having to lose fat for 6 months instead of only 3 months, right? Because if you're already in a decent shape, in a 15 to 18% body fat, going down to 10% won't hurt that much. That for someone won't take as much effort as for someone who is 22, 23, 25% body fat. So yes, you can definitely stay somewhat lean on a bulk. I do recommend that. I wouldn't aim for gaining more than half a pound per week. Stack it up. It's gonna take more time, obviously, than losing fat. Losing fat takes just a fraction of the time compared to building lean muscle mass. So keep that in mind. Of course, eat more than what you burn during the day. Focus on high protein nutrition. And once you get to the point where you're satisfied with your muscle mass or your physique and your body fat starts climbing over 18%, it's a good call for you to start your fat loss phase. So hopefully this answers your question. And now we can go for the next one. So, is alcohol toxic should I completely cut it off? So yes and no. The first question, that's right, alcohol is toxic. Your body will react to alcohol as a toxin, and it wants to clear this out, and it will focus its effort on getting rid of the toxic, right? And as a consequence of this, fat burning processes and the shrinking of fat cells in your body will completely stop for a while. Usually that takes 24 to 48 hours. So if you booze once a week, that might mean that your entire weekend is basically spent on everything but not losing fat. I'm not saying you can't lose fat drinking alcohol. For example, I got rid of 50 pounds myself while occasionally indulging in a couple of drinks, for example, dry red wines, tequila, so these cleaner spirits, and yeah, usually dry red wines. So as long as you can moderate it to 2 or 3 glasses per occasion and you don't drink more often than once or twice per month, you can definitely stay on track with your fat loss goals. So you don't necessarily have to completely reject alcohol, completely cut it off, but the more you cut it off, the faster results you will get. So I would say if you are desperate about losing fat, put pause on the booze. Remember this. And the next question is, what to do when coming back to working out after sickness or injury? So what I generally recommend is take a deload, right? So you used to work out with a certain workload, with a certain amount of weights lifted throughout the entire week, right? And you can't just get back to that, right? So if you have had a serious sickness or an injury which prevented you from working out for certain amounts of time, which is we are usually talking about like time frames more than 2 weeks here, right? And if you skipped more than 2 weeks, probably you should come back at only 70 to 80% of your usual workloads, right? So your goal is to train with a moderate workload for an entire week. Let's see how that sticks, and then you can level back up to your previous levels. It depends on how long the injury was, right? Or how long the sickness took you to recover from. That would be my general advice, and hopefully you also found this one useful. And if you have had an injury, of course, you will prioritize prevention in the future, and if you have had a sickness, you will prioritize keeping your immune system strong. And once you come back, just take a deload, don't rush, and you can keep your calories or like your overall food portions a little bit higher that week so your body recovers. You are not missing out on anything. Okay, the next question is, how to grant my weight loss will be successful? Well, that's a multifaceted question, but I'm trying to simplify that. Don't talk about it as weight loss. Talk about it as fat loss, because now you're specific what you want to lose, not just generally weight, because if you go for weight loss, you'll end up just being smaller but having the same body composition. So if you feel like you're not looking the way you want to look, you won't look the way you want to look when you're smaller, when you just lost weight. So call it fat loss, right? And now we can go and move on to the next step. So you can grant the success of your fat loss journey if you are specific. The more specific you are about your goals, about the dream body composition, body fat percentage, and body weight that you want to achieve, the more likely you are to get there. And now as a third step, you can add a number to it. Not just necessarily like how much you want to lose or where you want to be in terms of body fat percentage, but you add the deadline, right? So we are not only measuring things in space, we are also measuring them in time. So if you say, I want to lose 50 pounds within 6 months without giving up on my favorite foods or without counting calories, and I want to be below 15% body fat, now you've got a specific goal. Now we're talking, because it's easier to make a commitment when you are narrowing down on your focus, when you are so specific on your vision that you focus only on that, when you are allocating time for your health, of course. And obviously this is a lifestyle, this is a holistic perspective, but if you have this goal just in the back of your mind every single day, I can promise you, you are twice more likely to get there than, for example, the average Joe who just says, I want to lose weight. If you are vague about your goals, don't even get started. So formulate your goals first and then take action immediately. And the next question is, which kind of relates to the topic, is how to narrow down my vision on specific goals. Okay, it looks like my following is listening, because this is directly connected to the previous question. So I've been talking about this, of course, especially on Twitter threads a lot, that you should narrow down your focus, blah, blah, blah. But how does that actually happen? So, you should adopt the philosophy of going deep and not wide. If you go too wide, for example, in business, you are starting like multiple ventures. Yes, you have a real estate firm, but you also own like garage stores, and you also have a coaching business, and for example, you also have a brick and mortar chain, and so on and so on and so on. You will end up being distracted. You can't really focus down, and your empire will fall apart eventually. So you definitely want to avoid that, and you would rather focus on one specific thing, right? And if you are a high performer entrepreneur, so like majority of my audience, you know how that goes, right? Why would it be different when it comes to the context of your health or generally your fat loss journey? So if you have a specific goal in mind and you don't focus on anything else, so you are trying to lose fat and improve your sleep, and you want to get to 90 sleep score on the Oura Ring, or you want to get to below 15% body fat, and this will be your sole focus regarding your health in the next 6 months. Everything else will improve, of course, but at the same time, you can't go for building as much muscle as possible, right? Being the next Mr. Olympia, and also becoming a tennis pro, right? So narrow down your focus on what really matters, and don't try to major in the minors, right? That how much of this and that micronutrient you're taking in every day, how much you stun your balls and do all this esoteric bullshit, right? Because there are so many health gurus who are preaching that you should be maxing out on this and this and this and this and this every single day. So, for example, probably if your goal is to build 10 pounds of lean muscle mass in the next 10 months, probably maximizing your VO2 max performance on cardio workouts is not the most suitable option for you. Of course, you can do VO2 max cardio, but that shouldn't be your number one focus, right? So narrow down, cut down the fat, right? Keep your program lean, and don't let it exceed 2 to 3 hours of time investment per week, because you've got high leverage tasks, things to do which are much higher in ROI. So focus on those, and when you focus on your health, just put in the effort and go deep instead of going wide. So hopefully this answered your question, and I really appreciate you guys for asking mindful questions like this. And let's see the next one. So the next question, this one is coming from a Twitter DM. So, do I need to track calories to lose fat? Oh, okay. Looks like you've touched my sweet spot here, because I say no, right? Do you need to be in a caloric deficit to lose fat? Yes. Do you need to track calories for that? Absolutely not, right? So as long as you're hitting your daily protein targets, basically the only nutrient, macronutrient that worth tracking, right? You don't need to track calories, because you will be strategic about your nutrition. You will eat majority of your carbs around the most active part of your day. It could be a workout, for example. And this way you make sure that carbs are going for energy. The fats you're eating are going for supporting your hormonal system and your hormonal balance. So you understand how nutrition works basically, and you control your portion sizes in a way that actually you can eat more and lose more fat. How do you do that? You're picking the high volume, low energy foods, for example, potatoes, sweet potatoes, grilled veggies, watermelon, papaya, whatever. So whatever is big, big ass in size, but generally low in nutrients, in energy intake, right? So once you get this sweet spot, you can actually fill up your stomach. It takes up a lot of volume. As one of my friends would say, it takes up a lot of real estate in your stomach, but you don't get fat from it, right? It actually helps you lose fat because you feel full all the time, you control your hunger levels, and you're still taking in less energy than what you burn during the day. So that's amazing, because now you're in a fat loss phase. So you have managed to achieve a caloric deficit without tracking a single calorie. So of course it can be helpful for you in the beginning if you download MyFitnessPal, start logging your food and stuff like that. But after a while it's so meticulous and takes so much time that it's completely wasted for you. So you can use it as a beginning as your anchor, something that you can always rely on. But once you've got the basic principles of nutrition in place, right? And once you have your like 3 to 5 go-to foods, so you don't have to think about what to eat because you will always have your staples, right? Then calorie counting kind of like becomes redundant for you. And once it becomes redundant, you can completely avoid it. None of my clients are counting calories, especially not after the first 1 or 2 months when they get adjusted to a new lifestyle that they started living, which kind of rhymes with their old lifestyle because we customize everything for our clients, and then they just roll and get amazing results without counting a single calorie. So we found this helpful, and yeah, basically I wanted to let you know about how to actually do that, because whether you need it or not, what does that mean for you? Whether you need counting calories or not. If I tell you not to count calories, will you stop counting calories? If I tell you to count calories, will you keep on tracking calories for the rest of your life? You need an explanation, right? So always do your own research, start experimenting a little bit, and then draw your conclusions. Not because I said so, or your favorite fitness influencer or fitness guru said so. These are my experiences and of course my clients' experiences over the years. I think I have the receipts to talk about this, but genuinely I just want to help you, so find whatever works the best for you. I think you would be much more efficient with your time if you stopped counting calories and focus only on proteins and high volume low energy food, given if fat loss, so quality weight loss, is your ultimate goal. Let's see the next one. Says, how often and how should I measure my body fat percentage? So I would say measure your body fat percentage whenever you want, but especially at the start of a cut or end of a bulk, and about at the middle and at the very end. So you just have snapshots of time on, okay, how did your body fat like formulate over time. And how you actually do that is, of course, there are smart scales. They don't really give you the accurate results. The most accurate is a DEXA scan. Go to a clinic, get a DEXA, you will have accurate numbers, more or less. But if you use clippers, you know that's tricky because none of our body fat is distributed evenly, especially not for men. For us men, we either tend to be, a bit more fat in the stomach area, a bit more thicker skin over there. But for some men, it's more like the chest. Or I know men who have a more feminine fat distribution and have more fat in their thighs, or for example, in their glutes. And it's completely fine. But that just means that you can't trust clippers, right? Or like the pinching method. How thin your skin is at a certain area can't determine what your body fat is, because there's just one part of your skin. And no two cubic centimeters of your skin is around the same or above the same area or above the same surface, if you know what I mean. Muscle shape, fat distribution, everything just determines it, and you can't be accurate with that. Or there's for example that test when you just start like drowning in a water tub, and that can also measure your body fat percentage. Honestly, man, I would just rely on the mirror, reference pictures, and the DEXA scan, right? You don't have to be neurotic about your body fat percentage, but it's good to be aware of that, right? Where do we start from? Where are we going? Are we on the right track? And what is the final result? Because it just feels good to know that, okay, I went from this percentage to this percentage, and I did that without counting a single calorie, without having to restrict my diet. I had fun in the meantime, and I had an amazing coach. Hopefully that's going to be true for you in the future as well. But first of all, I really hope that this question helped you, and probably, if you are in the mood for that, you will get a DEXA scan very, very soon. And let's see the next one. Best high protein food options. Oh, there are a lot of them. So generally I would say, if your goal is lean muscle gains and you want to get like, you want to accumulate more energy intake and have high protein or like high quality protein sources, you can go from any kind of protein source, animal based, from the leanest ones to the fattiest ones. You don't really have to restrict yourself. So you can have a fat piece of ribeye, but you can also have a lean sirloin. You can have as many eggs as you want, and you can also have low-fat cottage cheese. So I would say dairy products like cheese, cottage cheese, and of course whey protein, for example, any kind of eggs, any cuts of meat, except for pork that digests kind of slowly. I wouldn't recommend it, but poultry, beef, wild game, fish, even like the fattier fish, you can easily go for that. And sometimes even some cold cuts like chicken sausages are pretty decent. These are great sources of protein. High protein snacks like protein bars, whey protein pudding, protein smoothies, string cheese, beef, salmon, turkey jerky. So anything similar to this is somewhat decent protein source, I would say. Always go for animal-based ones, and why animal-based ones is that you want to make sure that you have a full amino acid profile, and without being too scientific, without going on this Huberman type of tangent over here, I wanted to address that you want to make sure that the protein actually gets absorbed into your muscle. It gets synthesized. And without a full branch of amino acids, you can't do that. So that's why plant-based proteins, except for soy, which has like feminizing side effects, so wouldn't recommend it. So plant-based protein sources are not going to cut it. But there's a trick. So my fellow vegans, vegetarians, you don't have to be afraid. If you combine certain plant-based protein sources within the same 12-hour period, so for example, grains with legumes, you can form, or these amino acids can form a full branch chain of amino acids. So what I mean by that is that if you eat strategically, you can build muscle out of plant-based sources, but it's so meticulous, it's so difficult, and it requires so many residual carbs that you don't necessarily want to do that. So go for plant-based protein sources, eat high protein foods, shrimp, salmon, steak, chicken breast, turkey breast, chicken thighs, eggs, cottage cheese, whatever you can see around these counters in the supermarket or in a restaurant. Eat that fat piece of ribeye, eat that T-bone steak, whatever you want. Because ultimately your goal is to get high quality protein in your body. So hopefully we managed to settle the protein debate over here. I didn't want to directly attack anyone for preferring one type of protein over the other. These are just facts. This is how it works. It's not that difficult. All right, next one. I can't take whey protein. Could that be a problem? Oh, no, that's not a problem at all. But ask yourself, you can't or you shouldn't take whey protein, right? You can't is that it's not available for you in your area, and it's totally fine. Or you shouldn't, which means that you're allergic to that. Because in both cases, there are many alternatives. So first of all, whey protein is not necessary, but this is convenience. So if it is not available in your area, but you could order it online, I would definitely recommend it, because it's just convenient to drink a shake after a workout, to make protein cookies, cakes, pancakes out of whey protein, or using whey protein as one of the ingredients. It's just brilliant that you have the fastest absorbing protein source on earth condensed into a powder, and you can just drink it or blend it or mix it, whatever, right? I think it's just convenient. But if you're allergic to them, there are certain alternatives for you. So for example, beef protein, some plant-based alternatives, of course. There is casein, but casein absorbs very slowly, so it's not a typical post-workout protein, but that's still pretty decent, so you don't have to worry about anything. But whey protein itself is not a staple. You have to remind yourself that it's not a must-have supplement. Must-have supplements are certain vitamins and minerals, without which your body couldn't, and your immune function and your hormones couldn't function properly, or couldn't work properly, and they couldn't support your process of getting healthy, losing fat, and building lean muscle tissue, right? So you always want to have a strong base of supporters, just like when you are building a brand, right? You are scaling your company, you always want a strong moat, a strong fan base. These are minerals and vitamins for your body. They are the supporters, the builders, the people who build the whole foundation up from the bottom to the top. So, and whey protein it's not really included in this circle. So you want to make sure that whey protein is just a quick, convenient source of protein for you, and that's it. You don't overthink it. So even though it's marketed as the number one and most important supplement, it's totally unnecessary for your health. But it is convenient, so I still recommend it, and it's super fast in absorption, so it gets to your muscles quickly. Next question. Is pre-workout necessary? No, it's not. But you know that there will be days when it's going to be hard to push through it, right? There will be days when you just don't feel it, you feel like you don't have it. In those days, pre-workouts can help you a lot. What I do have a problem with is that most pre-workouts are just overloaded with caffeine. So it gets you the buzz, but it also gets you the jitters and the anxiety. It gets you that kind of stimulant effect, but it doesn't really pump up your muscles. It doesn't really ensure quicker blood flow there. So be aware of that you would rather prefer citrulline-based supplements as opposed to caffeine. But what is the problem with citrulline-based supplements? So these companies, and I'm not going to name them right now, but they, to maintain high margins, they underdose the citrulline in their products. Citrulline is an amino acid which helps you drive up your nitric oxide levels, which basically means that it helps you reduce blood pressure and improve blood flow all over your body. So actually, the nutrients can get to your muscles much, much faster. So if your goal is to be energetic and improve your performance on the workouts, and you never feel like you don't feel like working out again, then you definitely want to go for citrulline. My problem with the entire market is that it is being underdosed. So what then? Well, there is a plant in this universe called watermelon, which contains a very high concentration of citrulline. So basically, my general advice, and those of you who already know me and seen my videos, I always say eat watermelon every single day. It has helped me fix so many problems over the past 4 years since I'm taking this rule, and I'm living by this rule: eat watermelon every day. And even if you just eat quarter of a watermelon, you will have an amazing workout. It's less than 100 calories, by the way. You can eat it guilt-free. You can even make a sorbet out of that, like ice or an ice cream, whatever, lime juice, watermelon, chop it up, ice, blend, back to the freezer, 15 minutes, boom, you're ready. So if you use these hydrating, energizing sources of citrulline, for example, watermelon, then you don't even need a pre-workout, especially not a caffeine-based one. But if you don't have heart problems and you found that caffeine helps you, there's nothing wrong with slamming a double espresso next to your watermelon, obviously. So this is my take on pre-workouts, and I wish there was someone who actually fixes the citrulline problem, but don't worry, I've got a man for you for that role. All right. Caloric deficit is not working for me. What do? I have never heard such statement that caloric deficit is not working for someone. Caloric deficit is obviously working for you, or would work for you if you would actually be in a caloric deficit. But probably you're not, right? And I don't want to, attack you or offend you, but the thing is, for most overweight people who want to lose some body fat, there is a discrepancy between what they say they are eating and what they are really eating, right? They say, I've eaten one serving of chips, potato chips, but they ate the whole bag, right? So they skew their results, they skew their metrics, and they refuse to face the hard facts. So if you're one of these people, of course I'm not assuming you are, but if you are, just keep in mind that you want to be accurate about the amount of total food that you're eating. And otherwise, if you feel like caloric deficit is not working for you, probably you're too much focused on calories and not focused enough on your daily movement targets, on your sleep quality, and on certain methods for boosting your metabolism, like drinking enough water. Like, this is the most simple way of boosting your metabolism: 1 liter for every 45 pounds of your body weight. Or, for example, having a cup of coffee or green tea in the morning hours every 1 or 2 hours, right? That also boosts your amount of calories burned per hour, so your metabolism. The same, eat a high protein diet, 1 gram for every pound of body weight. Why? Because protein is 4 times more metabolically active than carbs, 6 times more metabolically active than fats, and it takes much more calories for your digestive system to burn, to digest the protein, compared to carbs and fats. And it also fills you up. It's satiating. So if you are satiated, if you slept well, and therefore your hunger hormone levels are low and your satiety hormone levels are high, then you are less likely to overeat. You will be metabolizing more efficiently. You will burn more calories by default at rest. So I could chill by this pool right now and burn more calories than a person with less muscle mass than me, right? Because muscle is also expensive for your body to maintain. It takes a lot of calories, even at rest. So if you pair this with a well-controlled nutrition, there is no way that caloric deficit is not working you. Then if you are in a caloric deficit, or if you would be in a caloric deficit, you would already know that, right? So I encourage you to make these switches in your life about your metabolism, which you have 100% control over. It's not genetic. It has been proven many times that it's not genetic. You can improve your metabolism. You can increase the amount of protein that you're eating. You can increase the amount of water that you're drinking. And you can, there are hundreds of thousands of different ways of improving your metabolism overall and burning more calories. You can also increase your daily movement levels, and if you got all of these sorted, probably you will be in a caloric deficit, and obviously it will work for you. Alright, but let's go for the next question. So, is it possible to build muscle and lose fat at the same time? If so, does it require a caloric deficit or a caloric increase? Would intermittent fasting be a good idea, or would I have to increase my protein intake? Well, it's a very complex question, and I'm not quite sure if all of the parts are making sense over here, but yes, this is possible to build muscle and lose fat at the same time in 2 major cases. You are a beginner or a restarter, or maybe a third case, but it kind of like intercepts with the first 2, is that you're skinny fat. Skinny fat means that you have a low amount of muscle mass paired with a high amount of body fat. Right? So if you are one of these people, then yes, you can expect muscle to be gained even on a caloric deficit. So if you are skinny fat, you should start, I think, anytime if you can't see your abs, you should start with cutting down the excess body fat, because that's damaging your hormones. That's slowing you down. That keeps you low energy. So get rid of the fat first. You will have plenty of time to bulk afterwards. And as a beginner, you have that unfair advantage that even on a caloric deficit, just because of you eating more protein, you getting stronger, you providing that novel stimulus to your muscles, you will get into the stage called the positive nitrogen balance, which means that your muscles are growing. So if you're doing that right at the beginning, you made the right call. First lose the fat, see your abs, see how you look like when you're lean. And if you make the decision to get bigger, then later on you can start bulking. Don't fuck up your hormone system with starting with a bulk right away at the start. And let's see, what else have we been asked? So, okay. Would intermittent fasting be a good idea? I think it would be, but not generally for everyone. You have to try this out, you have to experiment with this. I started intermittent fasting 6 months ago. I lost over 50 pounds. I feel amazing, and I don't see that breakfast isn't necessary anymore. I used to be big on breakfast. So just for your instance, I could eat a pound or two of food just on my first meal per day. But it slowed me down, it took my energy away, and I couldn't really focus on my highest leverage work tasks. So basically my performance was lower. Now that I don't have breakfast, my performance is much higher than before, and I generally eat less calories or like less food in a day. Smaller portions, right? In total, of course. So I think intermittent fasting is a good idea if you can get through the first couple of most important, most fundamental part of your day be without eating anything, right? So you wake up, you straight send it, you drink a lot of sparkling water, it fills you up, neutralizes your stomach acid, reduces anxiety, then you have a little coffee and another one every hour or two, right? You get to lunch, then you cut the coffee off, you have a high protein lunch, and in the evening you have a feast. You have a high protein, high carb feast, preferably before or after your workout, whatever. If it is a rest day, you can also like delay your carbs to the evening. Why do I say that? It's because majority of the day will be spent in fat loss phase. What I mean by that is that carbs are amazing sources of quick energy for your body. But do you need quick energy when you're not doing anything yet? Not really, right? So you can delay eating carbs a little bit throughout your day and it will be rewarding. You can delay eating food in general and it will be rewarding because you will eat food either way when you need it the most, right? And another benefit of like delaying your carbs until the evening is that it helps you fall asleep faster. It just drives up your tiredness hormone, your adenosine levels, and you will sleep like a baby, right? So that's also a good trick, also a good strategy to go about it, but it's not for anyone. I know people who have breakfast every day and are shredded to the bone, and I know fat intermittent fasters who still don't know the fundamentals of nutrition and how to utilize carbs, fats, and proteins to your own advantage. So you definitely want to learn strategies instead of applying tactics. A tactic is something that might give you a short-term fixation to a certain problem, but won't guarantee you long-term results, right? A strategy is something which is sustainable in the long term and will eventually lead to growth. A growth curve that you can sustain for the rest of your life. So progress that you can sustain. And if intermittent fasting helps you with that, just go and do it. I do it too, and I feel amazing. But if it doesn't help you, it's counterintuitive, you just can't push through the mornings, or it may have messed up your digestion in some way, then don't do that, right? Have a little breakfast, a protein dominant one, so when you wake up in the morning, your blood sugar won't spike up and stuff like that. You won't immediately store newly coming carbs as fat. Always make sure that you have a significant portion of protein in your breakfast if you happen to have one, or if you choose to have one. All right, next one. So it says, this complex question also said, or would I have to increase my protein intake? Well, I think I have said it enough times during this video that yes, you definitely need to increase your protein intake. And once you hit like 1 gram for every 45 pounds of your body weight, then you will be good to go. You don't have to eat more than that, right? Eating too much protein is also counterintuitive. Hit the sweet spot, be consistent with it, stay within like a plus minus 20% confidence interval, and you will be completely fine. All right, next question. I'm skinny fat now. I want to get as ripped as possible. How do I start? Okay, so you start by admitting that you're skinny fat, and you already did that, so congratulations. That's a great thing, acknowledging where you are today and where you want to go. You want to get as ripped as possible, so you probably want to be on a fat loss diet or like a fat loss nutrition protocol. In the meantime, you will lift heavy 2 to 4 times per week, or at least train your muscles with intense resistance. It could be calisthenics, whatever you want, bodyweight exercises, and you get the stimulation. So this is where the muscle mass will be coming from. You make sure that you drive up your DMT, and I'm not talking about the drug, I'm talking about daily movement targets. So if your DMT is high, your metabolism will be higher, you burn more calories throughout the day. So if you're generally an active person who trains hard and intense, and you're also strategic about your nutrition and you prioritize a high protein intake, I think you will not be a skinny fat for much longer. So keep going, my man, and keep making your dreams come true, and be there, be present, and become the best version of yourself. Not just for yourself, but for your family as well. Be present, be a role model, look, feel, and perform exactly the way you want to. And I really like the spirit that you say that. I'm skinny fat now, I admit it, but I want to be as ripped as possible. You will be. Just stay consistent to the plan, right? And make sure that the plan is tailored to you and is not taking much of your time. Because there will be busy times in your lifestyle either way, in the future, in a couple of years, right? But you also want to sustain your progress, I guess. You also want results that remain. So that's why I'm saying start lifting, eating right, high protein, and if you want to be ripped as a skinny fat, you probably will have to eat less calories than what you burn throughout the day. So you want to be on a fat loss protocol if you're skinny fat, not a bulking protocol. You can't outbulk that state of your body when you have like a little pot belly and your man boobs kind of like being saggy, turning to the outside, your nipples not looking that masculine or whatever. So of course, if you're this type of skinny fat, you shouldn't start with a bulk. Go straight for the cut. Let's see how your abs are looking like. Let's see how do you feel when you're actually lean, when you're approaching 10% body fat. And obviously you will feel good, but if you feel good, you feel great about yourself, but you feel like, okay, my arms could be a little bit bigger, my chest could be wider, then okay, only then go for a lean bulk and be patient with that. Because losing fat is infinitely faster and easier than actually building lean tissue. But if you just generally want a healthy, energetic, and athletic shape that you feel amazing with, then definitely, if you're skinny fat, start with a calorie deficit, start with a cut. All right, next question. Oh, I love this. They're talking about ice cream. I crave ice cream and chocolate on a diet. What am I supposed to do? The answer is simple. So if you crave ice cream and chocolate on a diet, then probably you should eat ice cream and chocolate every day. But wait, isn't that counterintuitive? So listen, if you are, as I mentioned before, strategic about your nutrition and you want to make sure that you eat your carbs for quick source of energy instead of storing them, then you want to make sure that you eat those carbs at least 60 to 70% of your daily carb intake before and after your workout, or generally the most active part of your day. And if ice cream and chocolate are part of that, then feel free to do that. So I would personally recommend 70% plus dark chocolate, and like these high protein, low calorie ice cream brands, for example like Halo Top. And I'm not endorsed by any of these brands, so don't get me wrong. It's just something that generally works and worked amazing for my clients. So this is what I would recommend. Yes, you can eat the ice cream. Sometimes you can even eat like high calorie processed ice cream. Sometimes you can just make ice cream for yourself out of Greek yogurt, raw honey, dark chocolate, berries of choice, whey protein, maybe an egg or two. Blend it up, put that into the freezer. Boom, you've got your concoction, and then you've got your ice cream. So everybody wins at the end of the day. Actually, I have a client, 43 years old. He's based in Dubai. He's very busy. He has, of course, family, full-time job, business. He's a consultant and financial advisor, CFO, and he's obsessed with chocolates. He has like a shelf full of like Belgian chocolate and stuff like that. So what I told him and how, for example, we designed his nutrition protocol is that he was about to eat chocolate every day. We structured his carbs throughout the day strategically in a way that he could eat chocolate every single day and still lose fat. He started dropping pounds and kilograms every single week, and after the first couple of weeks of the program, he told me that, hey, Ábris, I don't even crave carbs anymore. I don't even crave chocolate, for example. I don't want to eat sugars and junk food and stuff like that. It's very rarely that I want to touch chocolate, and I used to touch chocolate every single day before that. And, I was proud at that moment because I knew that once you're allowed to do something and then you are told that you should do that every day, it's not that special anymore, right? So you can cut back on a bad habit by just finding a healthy replacement habit, being told that you should practice it every day, but then you just forget about the replacement habit and the bad habit as well. And sometimes you just revert back to it just for fun, but not to the entirely bad habit, but to the replacement habit, which makes you ultimately healthier. Like dark chocolate, and I mean dark, like 70, 80, 90, 95%, is amazing. It's good for your health. It supports so many processes. It's full of electrolytes. It contributes to your heart health. It contributes to both male and female libido. So what's wrong with dark chocolate, right? You can eat that every day. And if you are told that you will be eating that every day, you won't, because it's not that special anymore. So I wanted to share this with you guys. And let's see the next question. All right. Wow. Is one cheat day per week a good idea? No. Why do you want cheat days? So if you want to cheat on your diet, it means that your diet sucks. And it's not good and not enjoyable enough for you to stick with it for the rest of your life. Chances that your nutritionist has written you a garbage or just copy-pasted something from TXT file on his or her computer, right? You want to avoid these like plague. And the other thing that you want to focus on is that, okay, if your diet would be perfect, would you cheat on it, right? If your wife in your marriage would be perfect, would you cheat on her? Would you cheat on your girlfriend if she was everything that you ever imagined? Or at least the relationship and the bond was strong between you two guys enough, if it was strong enough to solve all your problems together and not opt out and cheat, right? So probably you wouldn't cheat if that was true. But since it's not true, you have the urge to cheat, right? So look at your nutrition right now. Maybe come to me and let's talk. But I want to teach you how to think for yourself first. So look at your nutrition as of now. How does it look like? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? What supports your goals? What does not support your goals? List out your favorite foods, all of them, right? And list out everything that's in your pantry, in your kitchen, and everywhere right now around you, right? And then draw a circle around the ones which are whole foods or high in protein or both. And then cross out all those food items that are not in this category. Now you will group the crossed out ones into group A, and you will group the circled ones into group B. 80% of the time you will pick your food from group B, and the remaining 20% or less you will pick from group A. So you're allowed to eat your pleasure foods, right? You will just reduce the amount of times that you actually buy them in the supermarket or order them at a restaurant, at a bar, right? So you will reduce the amount of time, but you will still implement some regularity, maybe even every day, as I said with chocolates, right? And then majority of the time you will keep on eating high protein whole foods. It's that simple. This is the principle that my clients are using as well, and what I've been using for almost a decade by now. I don't like restricting my diet and focusing on diet fads and following these made up fake diets that, they have a good marketing, of course. Well, kudos to their marketing teams, but I don't think playing with people's lives and telling them what's healthy and what not in the long term, that plays out well, right? So eat whatever is healthy for you or causes joy to you, and try to combine the two, right? If there are some health foods that you particularly like, okay, you hit the jackpot. If there are some that you don't like, don't eat them. If there are some pleasure foods that you like but are not healthy, eat them just maximum 20% of the time. And this way, you don't have to implement a cheat day, because why would you need an entire day out of the week to cheat? That means that after 6 days of consistent effort, you're just throwing it all out of the window, because then you lose control, you start eating like crap again, you slow down or even stop for a while your fat loss processes. Do you think that's healthy, or do you think that's sustainable in the long term? I don't think so. It might give you the illusion that, okay, this is healthy, this is sustainable, but keep in mind you call it a cheat day, and it's bad psychology for you. It teaches you that it's okay to cheat. No, it's not okay to cheat. I don't work with liars, cheaters, non-believers, right? If you're one of these category, like, just, you have no business in watching this channel, right? I work with loyal men, so stay loyal to your diet and admit if your diet is not for you. There's nothing to be ashamed of about it. Admit if you don't feel good about your current nutrition principles, then it means that it's just not for you, and you need a massive change, a massive overhaul right now. And this is also something that we help with Demicycle Protocol. But what really matters is that, okay, a cheat meal, that's another business, right? Every once in a while I have a big bowl of ice cream, or I don't even count it as cheat, but like a large, pancake cake, or how should I describe it, like layered pancake with all the good stuff, Nutella, peanut butter, jelly, whatever you can imagine in between them. Well, what I'm doing, I'm using this strategically. So I know that that's a lot of carbs, so I eat them before a workout, and then I teach my body that, okay, this is not something that you will store as fat, this is something that you will use as a source of quick energy. So I eat that pancake, I eat a bar of Snickers, and then I go to the gym, I eat an epic full body workout, I have an amazing pump, and then I go home, eat a high protein meal and chill, and still keep building muscle and losing fat, just like usually. So you can be this much casual about your eating if you understand what you're eating and why. And if you enjoy your diet this much, and if you enjoy just eating in general, and you discover that, wow, eating what I love can actually support my health goals, and I can also have abs, I can also be muscular, I can also be healthy and look, feel, and perform the way I always wanted to, then how amazing is that? Then you would say probably that my diet is so good that I will never cheat on it. It's like when you have the perfect 10 out of 10 model wife, or whatever is the woman ideal for you, right? You say that, okay, my wife is so good, so hot, so caring with the children that I would never cheat on her. This is exactly how you would want to think about your diet if you want to be successful with your health goals in the long term, and you want to sustain the results that you're getting. If you're still thinking about cheat days, there is something wrong with your diet, so change that immediately. Hopefully this answered your question, and you won't think about cheat days anymore, but a more sustainable and flexible approach to your diet. And I don't like to call it diet, I would rather call this nutrition. And of course, if you need help with that, you always feel free to ask questions or book a free consulting call with us below. You can find it on the description, because this is where we craft up a game plan also for your nutrition and all the other different aspects for your health, on how we could help you with the Demicycle Protocol get to those goals without having to restrict your diet, implement cheat days. Basically, you can cheat every day if you have a good enough diet, so it feels like cheating, right? It's so good it feels like cheating. And basically, you could feel amazing all the time without all the bullshit. So if you need help with that, hit us up. But if you just generally have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And actually, this was a good question, because many of you have been mentioning cheat days. Ábris, what is your favorite cheat day meal? I can't answer because I don't have cheat days. I live every day so good, I eat so good that it does feel like a cheat day to me. Or maybe I'm just the one addicted to loyalty, who knows? I'm an old-fashioned guy, but I like my food. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't want to cheat on it. Okay. But there is another interesting question over here. Oddly enough, I never eat candy, but since training for the last almost 4 months, I crave peanut butter and M&Ms. Is this normal? Well, I would say this is kind of normal, even if you have never had cravings before, because your body is craving more because you have a higher total weekly workload. So your muscles are doing more work. Your central nervous system is required to recover more to a higher extent, right? You're putting more metabolic stress on your body, and it's just a new situation, right? And you have to adapt to this. And sometimes your body does these weird things that, okay, you start craving those exact type of foods which are extremely high in calorie, because your body needs, I need replenishment. And sometimes it will come in the form of addiction or craving to highly processed and, highly processed food full of sugar. So, well, I would say this is kind of normal, not specifically peanut butter or M&Ms, but I would say every once in a while you can include these as either part of your post-workout or pre-workout strategy, either when you load your muscles with carbs or reload them. And strategically, if that's the only source of carbs that you are craving, and also fats when we talk about peanut butters, but what really matters is if that's the only unhealthy thing that you're craving, then a good strategy for you could be batching up this meal or your carb intake either around your workout on workout days, or for example to the evening on rest days, and not having too much food or too many carbs in general before that. So leading up to that point or outside of that period of time when you have this meal, you wouldn't particularly eat that many carbs. That could be a good strategy for you, because now you satisfied your cravings and you took in a relatively small amount of carbs compared to your total daily needs and consumption. So a relatively small amount, you take that in and you utilize it for movement, right? So you use it as a quick source of energy. So the same principle applies here as well, just in the context of certain types of junk food, and that's okay, right? If you're worried about the long-term health consequences, of course, which you should, I wouldn't have these every day, just every once in a while, maybe once or twice per week. But yeah, if you're craving peanut butter and M&Ms, it's probably because your body needs something highly caloric or highly energizing. Or maybe you have some remaining stuff from previous habits that makes you crave these. And that by itself is unhealthy, but you can slowly replace them. That every second time that you crave them, let's say you eat a bowl of watermelon or a concoction made of Greek yogurt, fruits, raw honey, 100% cacao powder, mix it up, eat it. This will reduce your sweet cravings. Also the lycopene in watermelon, that also helps you reducing your sweet cravings. So it's like a double win for you at this point. And start gradually replacing the habit. So 50% of the time you will eat M&Ms and peanut butter, the other 50% of the time you will replace that with watermelon or concoction. And then next week you will switch this to 60-40, and then to 70-30, 80-20, until you reach that point that you don't really crave these types of candies or junk food anymore, right? It is normal, and also the solution for it should be normal as well. So nothing restrictive, nothing keto-ish or anything like that. And actually, this was a good question. It made me laugh a little bit, but it made sense. The next one, also a food question. I really like that you ask me food questions, because first of all, I'm getting hungry. Second, I love cooking, and generally the idea of food. And if I could get shredded, right? If I could lose fat, if I could be muscular, in a kind of disadvantaged position that I love food and I started as a skinny fat, right? If I could do this, if I could pull this off, why couldn't you, right? If my clients could do this above the body fat percentage of 25% and being older than 40, 50 years old and still got lean and energetic and they sustained it for a lifetime, then hello, what's wrong with that, right? So feel free to ask about food, feel free to ask more. And one of you said, this was from Twitter, I have a weakness for sweet pastries, cakes, chocolates, and biscuits. How do I replace them? So pretty much the same framework that first you start with 50% of the time, you eat the cake, the chocolate, the biscuit, whatever, 50% of the time, you use a replacement food, like for example, Icelandic skyr yogurt mixed with vanilla flavored whey protein, a little bit of erythritol or whatever sweetener you want to use, blueberries, and boom, you sorted amazing meal, evening sweet snack for yourself. You can freeze it. You can put it into the freezer and have an ice cream out of it. You know, I have like hundreds of recipes like this, and I will share all of them with you guys. But the thing is, always try to replace sweets with some natural sources of sweet, right? So certain types of yogurt, raw honey, fruits in any quantities. I haven't seen a single person in life get fat eating fruits, especially not eating watermelon, because watermelon compared to its size is so low in calories that's impossible to get fat from it. Like, I could eat a kilogram of watermelon right now, and that would be just like 300-ish calories, not that much, right? I could even eat more without essentially getting fat. So you shouldn't worry about these either, and most of fruits either, right? Fruits are a great source of energy. What do you do when you get more energy in, right? Because you get some carbs, you get the glucose. Glucose helps you improve your brain performance. You get electrolytes like calcium, potassium, magnesium, sodium from certain fruits. They help you just pull some more water into your body, to your organs, to your brain. You feel energetic. So these electrolytes energize you. They also contain water, these fruits, and glucose. So your brain, your body, your nervous system, everything is focusing and everything is performing high. What does that mean? You will have a better mood, and you will have a better mood and also more urge to move. So if you move more throughout the day, you will end up burning more calories. So sometimes losing fat is just a matter of eating more of the right things. Because if you start eating more of the right things, you will crave less of the so-called bad things or harmful things. You can still have them in moderation, but you will have so much urge to move that your activity levels and your metabolism will be so high that by default you will become a fat burning machine. This is how I could summarize our processes about this. So no guilt, no shame about craving these foods. Just use the simple replacement system, and don't be afraid of eating actually more sugars, more carbs, but from more natural sources like fruits, raw honey, and certain types of yogurts. Okay, but there's another very good question. And it sounds like, how do I get my family on board with my health transformation? So first of all, if you're someone with a family, and as a leader of the family, you are the man, of course, you want to lose fat and transform your health entirely, you want to show a good example. So you have to do the doing first rather than the speaking or the saying, right? You can't expect everyone to be on board with you first. You can't expect your wife being 100% supportive, because if you have neglected your health for the past 5, 10, 15 years and her desire towards you has significantly decreased, whatever you do and whatever you say you will be doing has less authority in her eyes than it used to have before. It doesn't mean that she doesn't love or respect you. It's just you failed to deliver on your promises. You failed to hold yourself to a certain standard. But there's, again, no shame about it, because every single day God grants you the opportunity to change and to make a massive shift in your lifestyle, in your mindset, and the way you approach certain things. For example, your nutrition and your entire health and fitness habits. So you want to make sure, at first, you start implementing little changes. Counting your steps, going to the gym, or setting up your home gym and lifting there in front of your wife or in front of your kids. Let them see it. You start learning how to cook healthy meals. Or if you don't have time for that because you're too busy with work, business, whatever, you start subscribing to a meal prep service. You might as well hire a private chef. Or on Pinterest, you watch recipes, you check them out and send them to your wife. Your wife will notice that, these are high protein, low calorie recipes. What does this man want? He wants to lose weight. And now, slowly, over time, as you show a good example and set your family standards high, everybody will soon transition, slowly but surely, to a healthier lifestyle. So this is your responsibility to get this started and to keep this going. But it's definitely helpful to have an accountability partner with that, or to have a coach who helps you set this lifestyle up for you, tailored to your current environment and your current possibilities. So this is how you get them on board. Less saying, more doing, and you will get this. Let's see What else do we have? Two more questions for today. One of them is, I've lost over 8 kilograms of muscle mass over the past year due to an injury and stress. How do I gain it back? Well, it reminds me of my 2021. I had 2 motorcycle crashes, and I've lost, obviously, a lot of muscle mass, a lot of fine-tuned motoric function, ability to walk and stuff like that. Had to learn a lot of things all over again. And probably you are going through something similar right now. So first of all, I'm sorry to hear that the accident happened to you, but now it is your responsibility to pick yourself up and to start this all over again. So, injury and stress, yes, they come together. So for example, when I had my injuries in the post-injury recovery phase, I was suffering from chronic stress. I lost half of my hair, I was feeling miserable, I had sleep issues, and I had to fix all of these things for myself. This is how I started Demicycle Protocol. So once it worked amazing for me, I started experimenting on other corporate leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, executives, and when it sticked, it worked, everything started making perfect sense to me. So you want to find this kind of epiphany moment in your life that, okay, what makes you feel less stressed? What helps you come back from that injury faster? And how do you gain that muscle mass back that you have lost? Is that you start slow and steady. You don't think of your previous PRs. You don't think of how much you used to bench in high school. You don't think of, okay, you want to be the biggest and strongest guy in the gym. No. Forget about ego lifting. Focus on training adherence, how consistently you can follow a routine. Start with just 2 workouts per week. Then you can increase it to 3. In a couple of months, you can do 4 workouts per week. You don't really need more than that at all. And start increasing either your reps, your weights, or slowing down your sets. So for example, your rep speed, you put more time on the tension. So try increasing the total weekly workload every single time you go to the gym. Start from a very low workload that you can handle for now. Increase it on a weekly basis, and maybe if you feel like your recovery is not that good, you feel often tired and drowsy and very sore, then every 5th or 6th week implement a week of deload. And what deload means, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, that you reduce your total weekly workload to previous weeks 70 to 80%, and that's it. And you increase your food intake a little bit to help your central nervous system to recover faster. So you want to make sure that you do all the exercises with the correct form, with the textbook correct form, without swinging the weights, ego lifting, or injuring yourself again. Joint health is something that just becomes more and more important over the age of 35. So if you're already that age, you definitely want to be cautious. And for that, first of all, eat a lot of collagen, take magnesium, and eat watermelon, because watermelon is also effective for your joint health. For example, my shoulder pain went away when I started eating watermelon every single day. And you know, as a former bench press specialist powerlifter who used to bench, 335 pounds, this big weight over my head, wasn't too pleasant. Of course, I hurt my shoulder at some point. Was I done? Yes. Did I fix it? Also yes. And I tried many methods, many different things, massages, stuff like that, but none of them helped reduce the inflammation as much as watermelon. And since then, I don't have shoulder pain anymore. Of course, I do not max out on every single session anymore. So I'm not even, benching high PR anymore, just bumping 10 to 15 reps with 225, 240 pounds. But yeah, let's not get lost in the numbers. Let's get back to the question itself. So when you come back, you want to make sure your form is correct. You have someone who supervises your form. It's always good to have an extra pair of eyes, and accept, and this is the most important, which I haven't mentioned yet, that coming back and restarting sometimes is much harder than starting at all, because you know what you are capable of. You know your true potential, where you were at some point of time, but you are not there right now. You feel like you have been set back for years. But the good news for you that this thing called muscle memory exists. So if you have already built up a decent amount of muscle mass in the past, your body will remember that, and building that back will take less than half the amount of time than what it took you to build that completely new tissue, right? So if your body remembers it, you can easily rebuild it. So that's it. Be consistent. Don't overforce yourself. Have an extra pair of eyes to you. Look at your form. Don't ego lift, and stay consistent, because you've got this, right? Once you break a habit, I know it's very difficult to come back. That's why I say, if you're healthy and not injured, then definitely never skip the same training session twice, because when you break a habit, you start taking up unhealthy and harmful habits. So you go from constructive to deconstructive. You don't want to be deconstructive. No, you don't want to be destructive. Be a person who builds himself and doesn't let his bad habits build him down. And don't let skipping your workouts become a bad habit that lasts forever, even if you're coming back from a forced rest period, a period of forced rest, and of course when you have to rest because of an injury or a sickness. Come back, accept that the first 21 days will be a grind, because your brain is actually the laziest organ. Why? Because it is used to use the same neural pathways over and over and over again. So to repeat the same activities, these are called habits. And if you have been out of the habit for a very good months or even years amount of time, right, then your brain will perceive working out and working on your health habits as a high energy activity, as something complicated, new pathways. I don't want to do that. I don't want to repeat that. I don't want to carry out that action. But you will force your brain, and you will still carry out that action. You will still go to the gym. You will still eat right. You will still concentrate on your form. You will still track your steps every single day to hit 6,000 to 8,000 or even 10,000, whatever your target is for that day. But you stay ruthlessly consistent with your habits, with your bedtime routine, and that, whatever matters for your health as of now, whatever aligns with your specific and narrow down priorities, as I mentioned before. And this way you can make sure that your habits will start sticking, because the more you repeat a certain activity, the lower energy activity your brain will perceive it to be. What I mean by that is, there is this 21-day rule that usually it takes 3 weeks for your brain to get adjusted to a new habit and to transform it to from a high energy, so like a high calorie activity, to a low calorie activity that is so easy to repeat that your brain will just want to keep doing that. So this is the status that you want to get back at with working out and eating clean and following a healthy sleep protocol and circadian rhythm. This is where you will want to get back once you start rewiring your brain and building out these new old habits, right? So this is what you want to make sure when you get back, is that you're aware of that. Okay, your brain is lazy, it doesn't want to do it, but you can force it, and then your lazy brain, this will be the default setting, that you're working out, you're healthy, you eat amazing, you enjoy that, and you sleep like a baby. If that's your default, you're winning at life. So don't you want to be winning? Then don't whine about an injury or sickness. I have had my fair share of injuries too, my clients too, especially if they are 40, 50 years old. They had sports injuries before, they came back from it, they made a decision, they stayed committed, and they just made it happen. So of course there are some drastic cases that you can't come back to working out as you used to do before, if you had like a tragic, almost near-death accident, stuff like that, but you can still do some form of exercise. And remember, some is always better than nothing. If you're just 1% healthier than you used to be, let's say a month ago, you are already winning. So don't compare yourself to others. Don't even compare yourself to your former self, to like before the injury or before the sickness. Compare yourself to, okay, where you were a week ago. If you just came back from the sickness, were you working out a week ago? No? Then be fucking happy that this week you are allowed to train again, and you got the great gift of working out. And if you have a workout plan that you actually enjoy, that actually works for you and it's effective, and pair this with a nutrition protocol that also works for you, and you love eating what you eat, you will have such an amazing life that every day will be a gift. So if every day is a gift, that's why we call it a present, right? every day is a gift in your life, and you actually enjoy the health protocol that you're following, then you just stop giving a damn about where you were a few years ago if you used to be in a better position. So compare yourself to your yesterday self and always try to improve. And hopefully this motivates you, whatever sickness or injury you had to go through. I'm really sorry for that. I've been there, and hopefully this will help you through this tough period ahead of you, and then everything is going to be amazing, and you will be in the best shape and highest energy levels of your life. This is something I can actually promise you, because I've been through this. It sucked in the beginning. After that, nothing is easier. And the final question, and again, you could guess this will be about food. All right. Is it okay to eat pasta? Is it different from other sources of carbs? Yes and no, right? I really like pasta for pre-workout. It's a very quick source of energy, it digests very quickly, and the only disadvantage is like 30 minutes later it like kinda leaves a hole in your stomach. You want to eat more, right? Durum pasta, although, is a very high quality pasta. For a fat loss protocol, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It depends on your taste though. If you just want to eat pasta once per day, it's completely fine, completely alright. But generally, pasta is small in size and high in energy, right? For fat loss, you want to eat foods that are large in size and low in energy, right? Like potatoes, sweet potatoes, grilled veggies, watermelon, papaya, whatever, right? But pasta is more like similar to rice, in a meaning that it's small, it contains a ton of nutrients, and it gets absorbed, digested quickly, and basically it gives you a quick burst of energy, right? And you have to eat a lot of it to take up space in your stomach. You have to consume a lot, and therefore that means a lot of energy, and some of that might be excess energy by the end of the day, so you start accumulating more body fat because of that. So yes, it's okay to eat pasta, just be cautious of the portion sizes, don't overeat it. But if you are, for example, in a lean gaining phase and you particularly like pasta, for example, I have quite a few clients who do, and they use it for bulking or lean gaining or whatever you call it. And how is it different from other carb sources other than its size? Well, of course, most pasta involves gluten, so if you are gluten sensitive, you want to eat gluten-free pasta, or you just want to avoid pasta in general. But in what way it is different is that it's mainly grain-based, right? Grain-based carbs and grain-based proteins can be a double-edged sword. Some people react well to it, some people digest it with difficulties. If you're one of those people, probably you shouldn't eat pasta, but by itself there is nothing wrong with pasta. And now that we went through all the questions, hopefully you found useful answers in these. Now you can copy pasta my answers into your notebook and start taking action on it, because that's one thing that you got the information, right? And I want to provide helpful information for you, but in itself, it doesn't mean anything without you taking action. So whatever you found useful, pick the top 5. Let me know in the comments below, and just pick 3 of them that you will start practicing right next week. Let's make a challenge out of that, and I highly encourage you to follow these new habits, follow these new useful pieces of advice which you hopefully received from this video. And I also encourage you to ask more questions, or to provide your thoughts and your reflections down in the comments below. I would really appreciate that. I'm always happy to answer your questions, and probably I will do a video like this about every month, or maybe twice every month. It depends on how many questions do I receive in my inboxes, in my comment sections. And as I said before, I'm always happy to expand on these questions and properly answer them according to my experiences, according to my best knowledge that I have right now, and according to my clients' experiences, and basically what we do in the Demicycle protocol. And with that being said, if you are a man over 40 and 50, working either a high-performing job, having a family, or running a successful business, but you put your health on the back burner in the past couple of years, and you don't want to spend too much time on improving your health, but you definitely want to lose fat, you want to go below 15% body fat, you want to appear better with or without a shirt, and generally you want to have much higher energy levels, you want to fix your sleep, then this is the right spot for you. Go to the description below and click on book a free call with us, because there we're gonna assess your personal situation, where you are right now, what are your exact health goals. We'll help you craft a specific decision for you that, okay, this is where you want to go. We will have you create a goalpost for yourself, and once you created the goalpost, we will lay out a roadmap how you will exactly get there without counting calories, without training more than 2 to 3 hours per week, or without ever having to restrict your diet or take stimulants for more energy, or having to take sleep drugs for better sleep quality. So without all the bullshit, we can help you get in the best shape and energy levels of your life in less than 2 to 3 hours per week. So if you're one of those guys who are ready to make a commitment right now, who prefer to not procrastinate, who prefer to not think about whether they can achieve their health goals or not, who prefer not to think about whether they can get committed to or stay committed to a certain goal or not. So if you are a doer and not just a sayer, then definitely book a call with us and we will make an amazing team. You will be a great fit. If you are not a doer, you're not a go-getter, you sometimes doubt yourself, or you like outsourcing authority to other people, for example your wife, then probably we are not a good fit, or your mind is not in that shape yet that we could realistically talk about this. Nothing wrong with that. You can just either watch another channel, or you could also go and watch my previous videos where I actually help you level up your mindset, and providing all of this information for free, basically how to get your brain in shape. This is what I help you with in most of my previous videos, so you can always go back, and you can, of course, you're always welcome to ask your questions as well if you need some more clarity or more information on something. But until then, if you're not a go-getter, don't book a free call with us yet, right? Don't waste each other's time. But if you're a go-getter and you are definitely ready to make a massive change for your health with only little changes to your lifestyle in 2024, then book a free call with us and let's craft up the game plan to you. Let's get this going with ongoing daily accountability by your side. So if you're interested, go to the description. You know what to do already. And everyone, thanks for watching. And if you genuinely liked and enjoyed this video, and if you have more questions, just feel free to shoot them over. Like this video, share this with your friends, your colleagues, your family members, team members, employees, whoever you want, right? And with whomever you would think that it could be useful for. So thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you a lot, and see you soon in the next one. Cheers.